welcome to another edition of Movies That Move Me. We are definitely going to use the plural of that movies there because we got 3 films we're talking about in this one. I was going to break it down into like one individual, movie per episode, but with this one, people often talk about them as a trilogy. So I'm going to talk about them as a trilogy in this video. So just bear with me because this one might be a little bit longer than my other movies that move me, which seemingly get longer the more that I do these. But anyway, I love films. That's why they are so long. So anyway, I'm going to talk to you today about the prequel trilogy for Star Wars and what I love about them, what inspires me about them. So first, let me just start off by saying I love the original trilogy, 4, 5, and 6, as we've now come to know them. But for me, as a kid, okay, growing up in the 90s and the early 2000s, these movies were actually something I waited on, okay? First one came out, now I'm waiting on the second one. Second one came out, now I'm waiting on the third one. And I remember the marketing campaigns very well for each of these films. And so that's why these mean maybe a little bit more to me than 4, 5, and 6 do. Because, obviously for me, by the time I was thought of and born, those 3 had already existed for a pretty significant amount of time. And once you watch those 3, you know what I mean? Now you're waiting forever, right? So for me, I kind of got caught up in that these are my Star Wars because these are coming out as I'm a child, if you get what I'm saying. And so let's start off with The Phantom Menace, which came out May 19th, 1999. For perspective, I was born in 93. So just to kind of give you the age range there, if you will. But Phantom Menace for me, and this will include spoilers, Phantom Menace for me has a moment in it that I feel like every Star Wars movie since has tried to create. And that moment was when Darth Maul took out his lightsaber and revealed that his lightsaber had a second saber a part of it, the double-sided lightsaber, which had never been done in any of the movies prior. And I remember that moment being a huge moment for me as a kid. And I know I've watched a lot of people, do video reactions of that moment. Like, that's a cool moment. That is a badass moment. And I feel like Star Wars has spent the rest of their movies trying to recreate something as badass as that. And then I would say for the original series, that badass moment may have been the, reveal of Darth Vader being the father of Luke Skywalker. That was a badass moment, and so then they were trying to, figure out, okay, what can we do next that's going to be something as powerful as that? And for me as a kid, like I said, that moment was Darth Maul's double-bladed lightsaber. In fact, I actually have a saber, and it is the 1/2 of it, 1/2 replica, I should say. But anyway, Phantom Menace to me, I really enjoyed it as a kid. As I get older, the thing that I love about it are the fight scenes. I love the fight scenes. In fact, I hope to one day be able to do a Star Wars fan film, and if I do it, I hope my fight scenes are as good as the fight scenes in Phantom Menace. And I feel like that's where the prequel trilogy really shines, is in all of its fight scenes. Like, it seemed like they figured out what to do with these lightsabers. Now let's go put them into action in this trilogy. Now, as far as the Phantom Menace is concerned, something that doesn't really land with me is the pod racing sequence. Like, that to me feels like they needed an additional, 10 to 15 minutes. And they were like, how are we going to do that? Oh, let's do pod racing. Here we go. Because to me as an adult, it doesn't really add anything to the story. Now, I'd love to hear from people who are adamant pod racers, right? If you love that, hey, tell me why you love that. Because for me, I'm watching it going, this whole sequence, I don't need it. I don't need it. And I don't know who was asking for it. Like, as a kid, it was fun. But as an adult, I'm like, all right, let's keep it moving now. But that is one thing that didn't land with me. The Jar Jar Binks stuff never bothered me. I actually like Jar Jar Binks. I think he's a cool character. I know a lot of other people don't like him. A lot of other people think that, the way he talks is annoying or whatever. But, like, I enjoyed Jar Jar. I didn't enjoy the pod racing. So I don't know if you can, roll with me on that one. But Qui-Gon dying at the end, that was a major thing for me as a kid, because I wasn't expecting it. I thought the good guys always won. And in this sequence, yeah, they won, but they also suffered great loss as well. But the Phantom Menace, to me, it was a great kickoff to this prequel trilogy. Now let's go to the next one, which came out in May of 2002. In fact, May 16th of 2002, Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Now, with this one, I actually had a agreement with my father that I would read the book before we saw the movie. The book is by R.A. Salvatore, and he does a wonderful job in the book. And in the book, much like many other, books that are made about films, he's given the shooting script. So he writes and adds detail to what he believes is going to be shot and in the film. I say that to say this. A lot of what people complain about when it comes to the Anakin Padme relationship is actually fine in the book, because there's a lot more to it. It doesn't feel like a forced arranged marriage of any type. Okay, it actually feels like they fall in love in the book. But because of how badly people reacted to the Jar Jar Binks thing in episode 1, and just how much George Lucas kind of felt like all these people care about is lightsaber fights, a lot of that love story got yanked out. And I hate that. I hate that about this film, because I did read the book, and I did love how the book made us actually believe they loved each other. And what's even worse about this is the fact that a lot of those scenes that were yanked out of the movie are on the bonus features, which is why I would love for an option where you could, if you're going to buy a Blu-ray, be able to buy a Blu-ray of a movie and play it with all the deleted scenes in where they're supposed to go. So essentially, give me two versions of the movie. Give me a version with the deleted scenes and a version, the theatrical version. Because I would love to see those scenes edited back in, because I think they make a difference. But to me, Attack of the Clones, I really, really love that film. I know there's a lot of people that don't, but like for me, I really, really, really enjoy that film. And again, the fight scenes are great. Darth Tyrannus, I was not really a huge fan of him. In fact, I would have rather they kept Darth Maul as the main villain for the 3 films until we got to Darth Vader, but they didn't ask me, me being a child. So, but I really enjoyed Attack of the Clones. And then Revenge of the Sith came out May 19th of 2005. And my goodness, what a movie. I really, really love that film. I would say it's my favorite of the prequel trilogy, as it is most people's. And I would say, again, the lightsaber fights, it's not just the action sequences and how they shot them. It's what goes behind those scenes. It's the stakes that are involved, because we all know what's going on, right? We know this is life or death with 2 people who never thought they would fight each other, in Obi-Wan and Anakin. They loved each other. And here they are fighting, knowing that whoever loses this battle is going to die or be, seriously wounded. Which in the case of Anakin, he's seriously wounded, but Obi-Wan thought for sure he was leaving him for dead. And so for me, I feel like those fight scenes have more to do because of the emotional weight and toll that they carry. And just seeing how Anakin is torn in this film, it really sells the conflict in the character. And that's something that I try to do with a lot of my characters. I don't try to write good guys or bad guys. I try to write people, because I feel like people are not white or black. People are gray when it comes to their morals. No matter how, moral you try to act, there's always something that could make you cross that line. And so that's why I always say people are gray. They're not white or black, they're gray when it comes to their morals. And Star Wars Episode 3 in particular, it really plays on that. And I love it. I love it for that. And it has become a huge inspiration for me because of that. And again, I'm talking about these 3 movies not to try to give you a critical analysis of these films, but because I love them and because they made me want to be a filmmaker. If it wasn't for Star Wars, I don't know that I would want to do this for a living. or even attempt to make a living at doing this. My latest film that I'm coming out with is called Captain Corpse. It's a sci-fi comedy. I probably would never want to do anything in the sci-fi realm if it wasn't for Star Wars. So for me, these movies hold a huge pull on me. I love them dearly. Like I said, I also love the original trilogy as well. I'll probably talk about those at some point because those were the first I saw. And then I saw the prequel trilogy. But for me, like I said, these prequels, they came out as I was growing up. And so it was like, these are the Star Wars that are for me. The old Star Wars are great, but they were made for other people. They were made for the generation above me. This is my generation Star Wars. And I have to say, before I wrap this up, just how happy I am to see folks really embracing the prequels nowadays. It's like Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor, Natalie Portman, all those folks involved in those productions. It's like they had to wait a little bit, but that audience, that grew up with those movies, now we're all adults, and we're able to show that love back and say thank you for what they did, keeping Star Wars alive. And I know that I'll probably get some people that ask about, like, what do I think about the Disney stuff? I'm kind of lukewarm in the Disney stuff. I don't hate it because it's still Star Wars. But for me, I kind of look at it and I go, any Star Wars is good Star Wars, as long as it keeps Star Wars relevant so that it can continue to inspire folks. I'm cool with it. And I'm really easy to please that way. But again, the prequel trilogy, I did 3 of them in one. I hope you enjoyed that. Do you love the prequels? Do you hate the prequels? Are you somewhere in between? Or have you never watched them before? Let me know what you think about them. And if you are a filmmaker, do these films inspire you the way they do me? Because I know, like I said, for me, this is what got me into it, saying, wow, like, he made me believe in what I'm seeing on the screen. And I eventually want to be able to do that with other people with my films. So let me know what you think. And again, the prequel trilogy, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, those are movies that move me.